Hi everyone, it's nixuser here for another free and open source video. And unfortunately, if it weren't for the fact that I have to put an appropriate title and I feel like having this wallpaper, I would have kept the fact that this is a FreeBSD video somewhat as a surprise for you. But unfortunately, such as it is in show business, as they say, and I have to reveal the man behind the curtain, so to speak, or shall that be the demon behind the curtain? Anyway, enough with the humour. This is FreeBSD. Now, for those of you who are a Linux or GNU plus Linux aficionados, FreeBSD is probably something that you may have considered using. But for maybe ideological reasons or practical reasons, hardware reasons, that sort of thing, you haven't given FreeBSD a go. Now, I'm going to show you something that's kind of interesting. Let's go to Firefox. You'll see here, I'm running i3 as I normally do. In this case, I'm going to go to FreeBSD graphics. Now, I have a graphics card that in principle should not actually be supported, and that's kind of interesting. So if we go here, and we'll see that I've got a HD 7870 PitCan that should not be supported, only partially supported. Well, I'm going to show you that that's not the case. You'll see GLX gears running, and at the moment it's at the refresh rate of the monitor, so what I will do is I'll go vblank mode equals 0 GLX gears to demonstrate to you that I do actually have hardware acceleration. And yeah, I mean, you might go, well, I can get better than that on my Nix box, but let's actually have a look at this and reduce it to a size that is commensurate to a normal Nix system, a normal GNU plus Linux system, and you'll see that the speeds are pretty reasonable. Okay, so what's going on here? How is it that I have hardware support that's for something that isn't supported? Well, that is for the next video, to be honest, but I just wanted to show you anyway that it is true. And if I go glx info grep, oh, that's interesting, grep OpenGL, and you'll see I am running indeed PitCan. I'm not running the software renderer. So I do have it. I'm running, if I go, let's have a look and see if I can get everything that you want. I'm running 11.1 stable, which is a development release of, or a development, it's part of the development tree of FreeBSD. And I'm using some different components, and to be honest, it's not exactly optimal because my boot ends up being looking a bit crazy with the corrupted graphics output at the top for about 10 seconds of the boot process, maybe 15 seconds of the boot process. So the first of all, I suppose, going away from the fact that I do actually have hardware support, is the applications that I have on here. Now, why would one use FreeBSD if I can get all of the applications on a GNU plus Linux system? The truth is, I've got to tell you, I'm not really happy with systemd. The binary logging thing does my head in. I don't understand why that needs to be the case. The total number of, I suppose, the demons from the past that are getting subsumed into it, such as udev. There's a cron. I mean, there's ConsoleKit, which wasn't being supported for a while there, being essentially replaced by login-d. Those are things I can think of off the top of my head. But it's the very idea as well that, well, I'm not a GNOME user, but the idea that GNOME requires systemd as a de facto dependency, it just does my head in. It really does. There's also the positives about FreeBSD. it seems to be one great big hole. I mean, I will go and look at FreeBSD handbook, and similarly, I suppose, to a Gentoo handbook, there it is. It's all there. But even one thing that I suppose is better than, better than GNU plus Linux is, and even if you look at Gentoo, it's got a ported system, is actual genuine ports. So if I'll go into root node, and, well, what can I say? I mean, I can go into /user/ports. I can find what CD IRC, CD IRSSI. How about I make clean, make deinstall. Great, so it's deinstalled, right? I don't have IRSSI anymore, we can prove that. So IRSSI, don't have it anymore. Now I could install it by package install IRSSI, which is just going to get the binary and just install it just kind of directly like that. Now it's probably going to try and upgrade my FFmpeg, which might not be good for this video since I'm using FFmpeg at the moment. Just kind of curious. Let's just make sure FFmpeg is still working sweetly. But yeah, so now I've got IRSSI installed. I should have it installed. Yeah, so I got IRSSI installed. It's, you know, it's there. I can let's make deinstall again. Okay, so let's do the real deal now. We want to actually build the thing and install it. So I can just go make install batch equals yes, which tells it just to go and get all of the dependencies that are needed and use the config there across through the dependencies and build IRSSI up. You know, so this is what this is the way for me that a system should work. Having a binary and a source system there is important to me. Now I'm not going to pretend for one moment that taking a piece of software that is really designed for GNU plus Linux, its source code, and then trying to build it against FreeBSD is a trivial activity, because that's why you've got a ports team that dedicates time and effort to porting software over to the FreeBSD system. That being said, there's like 30-something thousand packages there. I mean, the stuff that's not even in my Debian install. I mean, I can install Shotcut if I really want to, which is the system that I use now for editing my videos. I used to use FFmpeg directly, but just in the interest of time constraints and managing those, I now use Shotcut. But that's available. Look at that, bang! Just compiled it, installed it. Let's get back, bang! It's there. This is one of those things. Now, I'm using Z shell at the moment, so if I go echo $shell, I suppose on a BSD system, I'm kind of encouraged. My mental state is to encourage myself to use Z shell, but I could soon as use bash. I don't think I've got bash installed, do I? Bash? No, I haven't got bash installed. I could just get package install bash, you know. Now, they say that you shouldn't mix and match ports with package, but so far I haven't had too many dramas, except for my FFmpeg lost its capability of recording desktop video. But I just did a reinstall via ports with the correct config, and it did it. It's fine, ready to go, rock and roll again. So far so good. But now if I go bash, echo $shell, you can see that the prompt just changed a little bit. $shell. Oh, I'm still using, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right at all. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, okay. No, it's still keeping the. I guess I could just prove it. I guess local/bin/bash. And if I exit, you can see I was actually in bash, but for whatever reason, the environmental variable was not playing dice. But one thing I could probably do is if I go bash and I go nixuser echo.shell. Oh, but now I'm back at Z shell again, of course. So yeah, I mean, I have no doubt in my mind I can use bash if I don't use Z shell and whatever. So the point of it is, it's there. There's full documentation telling you hardware requirements and how to install it. Yes, I admit, as soon as you install this thing, there is no kitchen sink. You're there at a terminal. Oh well, you're there at a terminal. Any experienced GNU plus Linux user should have an idea of how to manage the terminal and how to install a system. It's not much more difficult really than, or probably about the same level of difficulty as installing a Slackware, for example, or an Arch Linux. It's really not that hard, although I think Arch Linux might be a little bit more difficult these days since it lost its nice little installer that it had, the Incursus installer. I don't know if that's back. But anyway, yeah, this is it, guys. I'm just sitting here thinking, why am I using a system like GNU plus Linux when a lot of distributions are really not making it easy for us to actually have init freedom? Why am I doing that? I mean, it's not only just that systemd, but it's also a monoculture. Systemd is a monoculture, a set of core developers that are building all of these daemons around the kernel. But why? Now, I'm personally, yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan, I suppose, of pottering, but I'm not against the guy either. He just does the job he's meant to do, I guess. But there are other things. I mean, there are other things about FreeBSD. Look at this, like the mixer. Okay, mixer. Look at this. There's no ALSA config or is it ALSA? Yeah, ALSA mixer. There's none of that. It's just there. I can change the volume. I can change the recording volume. I can change the mixer volume. It's easy. I just go, so mixer, and I'll just say 75%. Look at this, setting the mixer volume from blah, blah, blah. It's brilliant. It's simple. I'll go man rc.conf, which is to do with the init system, because it uses, again, this is another thing about the init system. It doesn't use service files or anything like that. It uses a plain file. And there you go. There's the rc.conf man page. And you can just go quit out of that, and I can go vim. Now I installed vim, I admit it, but look, you can see this. It's nice. You see? It's all there. It's so easy. It's kind of like, in a way, like the Slackware way of doing things. I suppose Slackware took from Unix in that regard. So, yeah, again, it's just one example. You know, so it's the config files. It's easy management. There's other stuff too. They've got they do have a hardware configuration tool, syscontrol, but that's an entire video of its own. You know, it's its own beast. So, but I have Firefox. I have Thunderbird. It's there. I'm not going to run it up because it's got my personal email in there. And I can't be stuffed really blurring it out. But you know, I could install Shotcut if I wanted to. If I go CD/users ports, multimedia, Shotcut, it's there. That's not even there in Debian. Now, there's another thing too. Occasionally, here's a bit of a downside. Occasionally, certain ports out there are not supported. For whatever reason, the original developer is no longer supporting it, but they seem to compile. Because there's a separation, I suppose, between the ports and the lower level system, it works. So yeah, I mean, do I have a lot to learn about FreeBSD? Absolutely. I spent the last 15 years of my life, I suppose, doing GNU plus Linux. Do I know for sure whether I'm going to stay with FreeBSD? I don't know for sure. But there's something really compelling about a system that's well put together. It's engineered, it has proper documentation, it doesn't have an init system that wants to be other things, and once it's booted, it just works. It just works. And it gets the hell out of my way. There's something about that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it here. It's just not even a rant, it's just an opinion piece. I do recommend you take a look at FreeBSD. I think it's a wonderful thing that FreeBSD came from the sagas back pre-1993 to where it is now, along with the other BSDs, and I've taken a look at those before. I'll put the link to the PCBSD video that I did some time back in the comments section rather than the description. And yeah, enjoy, guys. I hope you take a look at FreeBSD. It's certainly a good system. I think I've been using it for a week. I've used it on and off before, and yes, it's a bit different to GNU plus Linux, but it is about as vanilla as you can get. Anyway, guys, bye now.